All right, so you've probably seen the headlines about mystery drones, but, let's just ditch the sensationalism and just unpack what's really going on here.
Yeah.
Over the past month, we've just seen this surge of sightings across New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and it's not just, open fields.
Right.
We're talking near airports, military bases, places that make you go, hold on, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so we've got a stack of news articles, official statements, even some social media chatter. And we're going to pull out the most important facts and insights for you today.
Well, what's so intriguing about this right away is we have these physical objects being reported.
Right.
Things people are describing as drones, but then their purpose is totally unclear. It's this blend of the tangible and unknown that makes this so compelling.
Right. And it's not even just the what that's mysterious. It's the why, too.
Exactly.
It's like, why are so many of these sightings happening at night? Why are the descriptions so vague?
Yeah.
It's like we're trying to solve a puzzle with, half the pieces missing.
Exactly. And that lack of clear information just fuels speculation.
Oh, yeah.
Are we talking sophisticated hobbyist drones? Some kind of coordinated effort? Or could this be something even more clandestine?
Right.
So let's dig into what we know for sure.
Okay, so incident number 1, Stewart International Airport in New York.
Okay.
They had to shut down their runways for a full hour because of drone activity.
Wow.
Now, that's not just a minor inconvenience. It's a major disruption.
Yeah.
And it really raises questions about the potential impact these sightings could have on, our critical infrastructure.
Absolutely. An airport shutdown, even temporarily, can just ripple through the whole system,
Yeah.
We're talking flight delays, economic impacts, and of course the safety concerns of having these unidentified objects near aircraft.
Right.
So this incident at Stewart highlights how these sightings are moving beyond mere curiosity.
Right.
And into the realm of tangible consequences.
And it kind of makes you wonder, how could this even happen? Don't airports have systems in place to detect and track objects in their airspace?
They do, but the technology isn't foolproof.
Okay.
Drones can be small, they can fly low,
Right.
and they can even use tactics to avoid detection.
Right.
Plus, we have to consider the possibility of drones using technology that can spoof or interfere with radar systems.
Wow.
This is where the technical details get really fascinating.
Okay, so it's not just as simple as spotting a blip on the radar screen.
No.
This makes me think about the Army-Navy game.
Okay.
Didn't the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, they issued a temporary no-drone zone around the stadium?
They did.
Okay.
It seems that the FAA, which is responsible for ensuring the safety of our national airspace.
Right.
They're taking these sightings seriously enough to implement preventative measures.
Right, but then you have these official statements from the White House.
Right.
That are kind of downplaying the threat.
Yeah.
They've said many of these sightings were likely just misidentified planes.
Uh-huh.
So it just seems like there's a mixed message.
Yeah.
Concern on one hand, downplaying on the other.
It does create a sense of ambiguity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's that ambiguity that fuels a lot of the public's concern and, frankly, frustration.
Yeah.
I mean, if these are just misidentified planes,
Right.
why the heightened security measures?
Exactly.
Why are investigations still ongoing?
Exactly. If they could clear things up easily, wouldn't they have done it already?
Right.
This is where things start to feel a bit, mysterious.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. It's not just the general public, though, right?
Right.
We've seen governors, members of Congress, even former President Trump
Wow.
weighing in,
Yeah.
expressing concern and pushing for more transparency.
Yeah.
This isn't just some fringe theory anymore.
Right.
This is a topic that's reached the highest levels of government.
It's a sign that this issue is being taken seriously.
Yeah.
Even if the messaging from certain agencies seems to downplay the threat,
Right.
we have to remember there's often a gap between what's being said publicly
Right.
and what's happening behind closed doors.
Right.
Investigations can be lengthy and complex,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're dealing with something as elusive as these unidentified objects, up in the sky.
Right. Okay, but what about the people who are actually experiencing this firsthand?
Right.
The residents of New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. They're the ones actually seeing these drones or whatever they are
Yeah.
in their backyard. So, how are they reacting to all of this?
Well, you can imagine it's creating a mix of anxiety and fascination.
I bet.
I mean, think about it. You're going about your evening, maybe. You're letting the dog out.
Right.
And you see this formation of lights moving silently across the night sky.
Yeah.
It's bound to spark some curiosity,
Right.
but also the sense of unease,
There have been reports of increased police patrols.
Oh, really?
local law enforcement even launching their own drone units to try and track these things down. So it sounds like it's becoming a real community concern.
It absolutely is, and that local response is particularly interesting because it contrasts with that more measured, almost hesitant response we've seen from these federal agencies.
Yeah.
It's almost as if these local communities are saying, we're not going to wait for the federal government to figure this out. We're going to take matters into our own hands.
That's interesting, and that seems to be reflected in some of the legislative actions that we're seeing.
Oh, yeah.
From Chris Smith from New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
He's actually proposed legislation that would empower state police to track and potentially take down unidentified flying objects.
Wow. That's a pretty significant move.
Yeah, it is. So what are the arguments for and against a move like that?
Right.
Is this a necessary step to protect these local communities, or could it lead to, overreach and unintended consequences?
Well, there are valid points on both sides.
Okay.
Proponents of this argue that these state and local authorities are often better positioned to respond quickly to incidents that pose this immediate threat to public safety.
Right.
They also point out that federal agencies can be slow to react.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with something as ambiguous as these unidentified drones.
But wouldn't giving state police the power to just take down aircraft potentially lead to a more fragmented and unpredictable airspace?
Right.
Could we see conflicts between, state and federal agencies, or even the potential for abuse of this power?
Those are legitimate concerns.
Yeah.
Opponents of this legislation worry that it could create this patchwork of regulations and enforcement and make it more difficult to maintain, a consistent and safe airspace nationwide.
Yeah.
They also raise concerns about the potential for the misuse of force.
Right.
Especially when the nature of the threat is really unclear.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah.
But it does highlight how this drone phenomenon is forcing us to rethink our traditional approaches to airspace security and to really consider the evolving roles of state and federal agencies in this new era of drone technology.
Precisely. And we can't forget the public's role in all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Social media platforms are just buzzing with these discussions and theories.
Wow.
Even attempts to crowdsource information and track these sightings.
Interesting.
There's this real sense of collective curiosity and this desire to understand what's happening.
You mentioned a Facebook group earlier.
Right.
What was it called again?
New Jersey Mystery Drones. Let's solve it.
Catchy.
It's become this hub for people to share sightings, photos, videos, and of course theories.
Right.
They're analyzing flight patterns, comparing notes, trying to identify any recurring trends.
So it's like a real-life mystery unfolding in real time.
It is.
It really speaks to the power of these online communities to mobilize around shared interests and concerns.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's kind of filling this void left by the lack of clear information from these official sources.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
When people feel like they're not getting the full story, they naturally turn to alternative sources of information.
Right.
And in the age of social media, that information, whether it's accurate or not, it spreads rapidly.
Okay, so we've got official investigations, legislative proposals, and a whole lot of online sleuthing going on.
Right.
But let's be honest, everyone wants to know, what are these things?
Right.
Are we dealing with some top secret government project?
Right.
Like a prank gone elaborate?
Yeah.
Or maybe something a little more extraterrestrial?
Let's dive into some of these more compelling theories that are circulating, keeping in mind that at this point, everything is speculation.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so first up, the government theory.
Okay.
Some people believe these drones could be part of, like a classified military or intelligence operation, testing out new technology, conducting surveillance.
Right.
It would kind of explain why the official response has been so tight-lipped. What do you think? Is there any historical precedent for this kind of thing?
Oh, there's certainly a long history of governments developing and deploying advanced technology in secrecy.
Okay.
The U-2 spy plane,
Right.
the stealth bomber. These are just two examples of projects that were shrouded in secrecy for years before being revealed to the public.
Right.
So it's not outside the realm of possibility that we're seeing something similar here.
Okay, but wouldn't that raise some serious concerns about government transparency and accountability?
Of course.
If they're operating these drones without public knowledge or oversight,
Right.
what does that say about our democratic institutions?
it does raise important questions about the balance of national security and individual privacy.
Right.
Governments have a responsibility to protect their citizens,
Right.
but they also have a responsibility to be transparent and accountable for their actions.
Okay, let's move on to another possibility.
Okay.
Could these drones belong to a private company?
It's possible.
Maybe they're conducting aerial surveys, testing delivery systems, something along those lines.
That's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
Especially given the rapid growth of the commercial drone industry.
Right.
But it's hard to imagine a reputable company operating in such a clandestine manner.
Right.
Especially near these sensitive locations like airports and military bases.
Yeah, you'd think they would have obtained the proper permits and clearances before flying in those areas.
Right.
Unless, of course, they're intentionally operating outside the bounds of the law.
That raises the possibility of criminal activity.
Huh.
Could these drones be involved in smuggling, surveillance, or some other illicit activity? We can't rule that out.
Right.
Especially given the increasing sophistication of drone technology and its potential for misuse.
And then, of course, there's the theory that always seems to pop up in these situations.
Right.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Some people believe that these drones could be extraterrestrial in origin.
Right.
Visiting our planet for who knows what reason.
While that alien theory is certainly intriguing and always fun to speculate about,
oh yeah,
it's important to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
We need to exhaust all other possibilities before resorting to these explanations that are outside the realm of our current scientific understanding.
I agree, but let's be honest, there's just something inherently mysterious and captivating about the idea of these unidentified objects in our skies.
Right.
It just taps into our sense of wonder, but also our anxieties about the unknown.
Exactly.
And in a world where technology is advancing at such a rapid pace, it's not really surprising that people are looking for answers.
Right.
Even if those answers lie, beyond our current understanding. I mean, it's like we're living in a science fiction movie sometimes.
I know, right? Like
1 minute drones are delivering packages.
Yeah.
And the next minute there are these enigmatic objects buzzing around in sensitive areas. It's kind of like, what does this whole situation tell us about our changing world?
Well, it really highlights how technology is continually just reshaping our reality and forcing us to grapple with these new questions about security and privacy.
Right.
And even our place in the universe.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different theories.
Right.
Government operations, commercial activity, even the possibility of something extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
But even without knowing the definitive answer.
Right.
What are some of the key takeaways that you think our listeners should consider here?
Well, first, I think it's crucial to recognize the gap between public perception and then official knowledge.
Right.
We see this often in situations where information is limited or deliberately withheld.
Right.
That gap can just breed uncertainty and sometimes even distrust.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, matters of national security.
Right. And that leads to people seeking information from these alternative sources.
Right.
Like these online communities, which can be, a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's great to see people engaging and trying to make sense of things themselves.
Right.
But on the other hand, misinformation can spread so quickly, and it's important to be critical of the information we're consuming.
Absolutely. It's a reminder to be discerning consumers of information.
Right.
Cross-check those sources and be wary of narratives that, rely heavily on speculation or fear-mongering.
So how do you sift through all the noise and kind of get to the heart of what's really important here?
Right.
What questions should we be asking ourselves as we try to understand this whole phenomenon and its implications?
Well, I think one of the most crucial questions is, what are the potential consequences of this activity regardless of its origin?
Right.
I mean, we've already seen the disruption these drones can cause.
Oh, yeah.
Shutting down airports, prompting security concerns at these major events.
Right.
So what happens if those disruptions become more frequent or more severe?
Yeah. And what about the broader societal implications?
Right.
If we're entering an era where, unidentified drones are just a regular occurrence.
Yeah.
How does that change our relationship with technology, with our government, even with our own sense of safety and security?
These are really profound questions that we need to start addressing as a society.
Yeah.
We need to have these open and honest conversations about the risks and benefits of drone technology.
Right.
About the need for responsible regulation and about the importance of maintaining a balance between national security and individual liberties.
This deep dive has certainly opened my eyes to the complexity of this issue.
Yeah.
It's not just about identifying some mysterious objects in the sky.
Right.
It's about grappling with these like broader questions they raise about, our future.
Exactly. This wave of drone sightings.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a wake-up call.
Okay.
It's a reminder that we're living in this rapidly evolving technological landscape.
Right.
And we need to be prepared to adapt and respond to the challenges and opportunities that come with it.
So to our listener, as you continue to follow this story and others like it, just remember to keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Challenge those assumptions.
Right.
And just be an active participant in shaping the future you want to see.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of a deep dive.
Right.
It's not just about like acquiring knowledge. It's about empowering yourself to think critically and engage meaningfully with the world around you.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration.
Yes. Thank you.
And until next time, keep looking up, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.